Richard Baz is the star from Schultz Ford. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star. And our guest today, this is so interesting, Demeatria Boccella. Welcome to Car Stars and Everything in Between.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting.
So I need to understand that you are a producer and curator of style, culture, and design. And you're the one responsible for Billy Porter's Flowers Meet Fashion live fashion show at Phipps on June 4th. Is that correct?
Wow, you guys do your homework.
Well, here's an interesting thing that you may find. Billy and I are really good friends because we graduated high school together.
Wow, that's awesome. Is that
Yes.
Allardyce? Allardyce Kappa?
Yeah, he went to Kappa and Alderdice, and
Yes.
we both graduated from Alderdice together, and he's one of my dear friends. So I
That's
love him. I love him, love him, love him, love him. So he actually gave us a heads up on our show months ago that this was happening.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's an amazing. I'm not responsible for the costume exhibition.
Okay.
That's Phipps. But there is a fashion show that's in conjunction with the exhibit that, I'm producing, and we're just so excited to be celebrating Billy Porter and his contributions and his amazing style, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
So let's start with your background. So let's start where you're from. How did you get into this? So let's start at the beginning for you, Demeatria.
Okay. So I am a Pittsburgh native. I was born and raised in Hazelwood.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a steel worker, my mom a homemaker, and I've just always been a creative child, always loved the arts and fashion. But, I grew up with a really low self-esteem. And so, I reached out to individuals who was doing what I really love to do. And luckily, I was able to connect with a couple of people who really nurtured my interests. I didn't have, the funds to go and, travel the world or travel, the country and visit different museums and everything. But I did have, crucial individuals in my life who were role models for me. And so my desire to make a difference in the fashion industry started with just my passion and, looking through some of my favorite magazines like Vogue and really not seeing reflections of myself there. There was a lack of diversity at the time growing up in the 70s and 80s. I'm dating myself now. And so, through that, I wanted to make a difference. So I started a modeling agency in my late 20s with the mission of broadening the standard of beauty. And I wanted to represent men and women of color. And then also part of my journey of self-love and acceptance was shaving my head. Because I didn't see reflections of myself in fashion and beauty. I really, didn't think I was attractive, and I wanted to change everything about me. And I used my hair to mask my insecurity. So, late in my 20s, after I met my husband and he was so cool and really supported me, I said, you know what, I'm shaving my head and I just want to learn to love me, when I look in the mirror. Now I do it out of convenience because I'm lazy and I don't want to do my hair.
That's awesome. So I grew up in Greenfield. So I grew up right up the hill from you in Hazelwood.
Okay, yes, neighbors.
So it's interesting to me, when because you say you didn't come from financial resources, you didn't have the resources. So if there's somebody listening to this, right, that's coming from a situation similar to where you came from, where maybe they don't have the financial resources, or maybe they feel like they're stuck in a world that they can't get out of. What did you do? What was that thing that made you say, I can do this? I can change the world? Because it's kind of what you're doing, Demeatria.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I never gave up hope. I always, just had this drive within me. And I don't know, it's like my mother always taught me to listen to my intuition. And through all the pain that I went through as a child, with, depression and not knowing it was depression back then, but, reflecting back depression and just seeing my community and not wanting to, succumb to my environment, wanting to think bigger and be beyond, just wanting to make a difference. And my mom was a great role model, and my dad. And so I was fortunate to, have those role models, but I also was taught to seek out support, and ask people, like, how do you do what you do? And so it was the mentors in my life that helped me see beyond my zip code
Right.
and just really, gave me the desire and the interest to, do something in the community.
By the way, if you're just joining us for Car Stars and everything in between, this is Demeatria Boccella. Her website is demeatriaboccella.com. And how can they follow you on Instagram if they want to follow you? Because your story, I think, is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Demetria Style is I couldn't think of anything creative than Demetria Style.
So how many no's would you say you received before you received yeses getting started?
Wow. I received a lot of no's, but I've been also, really blessed too. Because I stumbled into arts and philanthropy, and I had an opportunity to be to manage a grants program that provided funding to individual artists and arts organizations within communities of color. And so through that work, it really gave me the desire and the courage to pursue what I'm really interested in, because I was supporting artists who were living their dreams, like Kyle Abraham and Vanessa German, and some of the work that I do today is around August Wilson. And so just hearing about all of these amazing African Americans, who were either transported here or born and raised here and living their dreams and doing what they love to do, it's like, okay, I could do it too, in addition to supporting them. And so through my journey, I heard a lot of no's, but it just gave me the drive to just keep pushing forward.
Quite often in this world, people find themselves when they're helping others, they have a lot easier time than when it's time to help themselves. And it
Mm.
sounds like in that position, you were able to help others. Did you have a hard time transitioning to when you're like, no, 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 I appreciate all I've been able to do for everyone else. It's now time for you to do for you.
Oh yes, it's hard. It's still even to this day, because when you really are passionate about something and it's very close to you, that no is still difficult to hear. However, it's like I don't know. It's just for some reason it just gives you the courage. It's hard to make that ask,
Yep.
but if you really want to see something happen, you have to do it. You just have to ask, because we're here on this earth, to live out our purpose, and we're here to help each other and support each other. And I've realized that over the years, and so that's what I love to do. I love to give back, and I love to celebrate others, and I
And,
get
and,
blessed in return.
and those blessings come back to you.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
By the way, we have a lot more to go. With us today for Car Stars and everything in between. This is Demeatria Boccella. We haven't even got we haven't even had a lot more conversation about the show at Phipps, which we got to get into. You've
Yes.
got so many projects that we've got to talk about. Plus, when we come back, I want to ask you about how often, or if you ever go home to Hazelwood to see what it's like. When we return, we will continue the conversation. This is Demeatria Boccella. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between on 100.1 FM, AM 1020, KDKA. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You're doing great, by the way.
I said a lot of ums.
Oh, you are great. You are.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's something, you grew up in Greenfield. I love it.
Yep. And Billy and I have been friends, and I love him because he's the same Billy I knew.
That's great. I know. Well, I didn't get a chance to really know him growing up, but he just seems like a very down to earth, individual.
Melanie, who's on the radio with me in the mornings, she had a chance to, like, he came in the studio, maybe 6 months ago, and she expected him to come in with an entourage and with people, and he just came walking in by himself.
Oh.
And she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just walked in here by yourself." He's like, "What else would I do?" No. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me do this real quick. Stand by, and this will be part 2. Here we go. 100.1 FM, AM 1020 KDKA. This is Car Stars and everything in between. He's the star Richard Bazzi from Schultz Ford, who unfortunately wasn't able to attend today. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star, and a star with us today is Demeatria Boccella. Where do you currently live? Where do you call home?
Now I'm in East Liberty. So it's
Okay.
a borderline of East Liberty and Shadyside.
So you're still in Pittsburgh. At any point, did you ever leave the burg? So you're near like Bakery Square.
Yes, I am. Yep, very close to Bakery Square. Bubba, everyone thinks that I have left. I did. For like a couple of years, my husband decided to go back to school, and we were in New England for a little while. But I left as an adult. So I had not experienced life outside of Pittsburgh in my younger years. But in my early 30s, we lived in New England, and that was wonderful.
So let's talk very quickly before we get into the show at Phipps with Billy Porter. Let's talk about, you live in Pittsburgh. A lot of what you do is diversity, and you creating a crowd of not seeing enough people like you in fashion and modeling. How do you think Pittsburgh ranks in diversity, acceptance, and inclusion?
Pittsburgh has really evolved, over the years. We're still going through our challenges and, struggles, but I think that the beauty of Pittsburgh is that it's like a hidden gem,
Yep.
When folks come to visit, I said, you can really create the environment in which you desire to live right here and get the support. We may have to try a little bit harder, but, things do happen if you just don't give up and you keep at it. And Pittsburgh is all about relationships too. And, once you cultivate those relationships, doors do open and you get the support that you need to do your thing.
All right, let's talk about Billy Porter's Flowers Meet Fashion live fashion show, Phipps on June 4th. You have when it says that you, Demeatria, has curated this with your team, what exactly does that mean? And by the way, Demeatria Boccella Productions LLC is the company that did this, correct?
Yes, just the fashion presentation part. Yep.
So what does that mean? So what did you do in conjunction with this event?
Well, I helped.
For a guy that, by the way, dresses like he's still 10 years old, I'm wearing a free T-shirt and camo shorts right now. I'm the opposite of understanding fashion. So for somebody like me, explain to me what you did for this show.
Right. So I'm working closely with the Three Rivers Business Alliance, and they're the organization, the entity that is producing the show. And this is in support of the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce and the small businesses within that commerce. And so through their foundation, they have annual fundraisers, and this one is in conjunction with the Billy Porter exhibition at Phipps. And so I helped them come up with a concept. I engage designers and other supporters to help provide looks and just build an amazing creative team to execute the vision. And what's so great about this particular show is that the models are actually business leaders within the LGBTQ community. So
That's
it's
awesome.
been great, yes. And there are some really amazing stories. There are some survivors. It's really inspiring and empowering, and it's a blessing to be able to work.
Have you had a chance to work with Billy at all?
You know what? That is on my one of my goals. I would love to have the opportunity to work with him. He's such a visionary. I had the opportunity to see his show. The Black Mona Lisa, the tour, right? It was at Heinz Hall just the other night. And that was just really empowering just to hear his story and how he just didn't give up. And
Billy, this isn't a secret, but obviously Billy is a friend of mine. We graduated from high school together. We're still friends to this today. And to see his transformation personally he talks about it openly, how homophobic the industry was when he first got started. And to see where he is today as somebody that's known him since we were teenagers. And I think I told you this off the air. I'm proud of him. But more important than that is he's the same Billy I knew than when we used to eat at Pamela's getting pancakes when we were 15.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you feel that energy from him. I mean, there's so many people, even like at the after party, after the concert, it was just like so many people talking to him, but he was present with each one. He was just right there
Absolutely.
with you. And I really appreciated that.
He came in the studio, walked in by himself when he was in town last. Didn't have any people with him. Had somebody drop him off. And then I was like, what, you're obviously on some kind of time constraint. How long do you have to be? He goes, until I decide to leave. And he stayed there
Wow.
for 2 hours.
Wow.
Did the show for 2 hours.
Wow.
And so this is exciting. Once again, this is the Billy Porter Flowers Meet Fashion live fashion show, FIPS, June 4th. You're the curator. But let's talk about, you're the founder of Fashion Africana. So tell us about that.
Well, Fashion Africana is a global multimedia program with an educational platform that explores Black beauty, history, and culture through fashion and art. And so, growing up, as I shared, Bubba, not seeing a lot of diversity within some of my favorite fashion magazines, I created Fashion Africana as a platform to celebrate who we are. Because the more I connected and learned about my African ancestry, I realized, oh, I'm supposed to look this way. I'm supposed to have this wide nose and this dark skin, and this is who I am. And so, once I had that realization as a young person, all I wanted to do is just celebrate our culture. And I love fashion, I love the arts, and I created Fashion Africana to do just that. Now it's a nonprofit organization. We do a lot of programming in the schools, and then we also host a lot of artist residencies. And we'll have our first Fashion Africana Gala November 25th at the Pittsburgh Public Theater. So I'm really excited.
So
Yeah.
I know this is way down the road, but people can start planning. What's going to be the plan for the gala?
Well, on November 25th, we are going to feature some of the artists who have been part of our artist residency. And we have this, amazing haute couture designer named Imani Assisi. He is from Cameroon in Africa, but now he's based in Paris. And then we have the work of Cedric Mazzero. He was our artist in residence from Rwanda in Africa last year. And now his work is being featured at the Brooklyn Museum in June, later in June. And we're thrilled to be a part of that. And so we'll have some of his pieces at the gala as well. But it's going to be just really a fabulous evening of style and culture. And you're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be an experience in and of itself.
And so here's another question for you, Demetria. When do you sleep?
I know, right?
You are really busy, but you can hear in your voice that you love what you do.
I do. It's my passion, and it's important that I do what I love, for my 16-year-old daughter. I want her to see and be an example to her, so that she can pursue also what she's interested in, and not give up. So.
And what advice do you give her that you wish somebody would have given you when you were 16?
Oh, that's deep.
Well, look how far you've come.
Well, you know what? I'm still going. I am still going and still
Amen.
trying to do, what I love. We just want her to be happy. We want her to be happy and to live her life. And just know that there are many opportunities that are out there. And, she's on this road of self-discovery as well. And, trying to figure out, I mean, she's definitely like an artist, but she doesn't want to be like her parents. She wants to be the total opposite of her.
Surprise, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, Demeatria Boccella, thank you so much for joining us.
Website
is demeatriaboccella.com. Your Instagram is Demeatria Style, or they can check out fashionafricana.com. Thank you for joining us for Cars, Stars, and everything in between.
Thank you so much, Bubba. It was a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
You are an absolute